So you guys just finished recording your new EP, Common Enemies. Now These Are Lights, your full-length debut came out about 7 months ago. This really wouldn't have turned heads about 25 years ago, but it's considered pretty fast turnaround nowadays. What made you guys move so fast on this?
Well, we had kind of a period where a bunch of the band members were going to be off doing other things. We had about 3 months where we could not book shows.
No one was going to be in the same place for about 3 months straight. But the way that we write and the way that we record would allow us to work on some new material. So rather than just do nothing for 3 months, we decided to challenge ourselves and come up with a new release rather than just doing nothing.
Yeah, we didn't want to be stagnant for like this big period after we had just gotten the ball rolling. We wanted to kind of keep moving in some direction. And we write, we're constantly writing. I mean, for every song that made These Are Lights, there were a couple songs that we rejected. So we're always coming out with new material, and we figured, hey, we could use this 3 months to our advantage very easily.
All right. You mentioned the way you write songs. What is your writing process like?
Well, we don't have exactly one writing process nailed down. It is anywhere from a couple guys sit down and write something together to just one guy writes something and then gives it to the rest of the band. Like, I would say about 80% of the songs, especially on These Are Lights, were the result of either Tony or Kenny sending midis to people like in the rest of the band. And then we'll listen to the midis. Usually a few of us get in and start tracking out a demo. That's where the song gets arranged. So everyone kind of has their fingers in the arrangements of the songs. But usually the skeleton of a song will come from either Tony or Kenny.
Yeah, I mean, we have lots of riffs in the works. Me and Kenny are constantly sending back midis to each other of riffs that we're working on. And then what we'll do is for a lot of the newer material that didn't start off as Slicer Dicer songs or anything from our past, me and Kenny will kind of flesh it out in MIDI form first and kind of compose the whole general skeleton of the song. And when we complete that, we send that to the rest of the guys. Aaron will work on guitar parts and stuff, and the rest of the guys will come in and record. I mean, probably 80% of These Are Lights was recorded in its entirety without even having a band together.
Yeah.
Our first rehearsal as a band, as The Armed, was in June of last year, and These Are Lights came out in July. So the band kind of came together real fast, but we just kind of work on stuff individually and then piece it together and all work on it then.
Every song on These Are Lights had been written by the time we finally all got together in the same room and started playing those songs.
And once you guys write your songs, you self-record them, right?
Yeah. We do everything ourselves. The way that we've done it, and people ask us this all the time.
Well, we don't do everything ourselves. We
don't
mix
not everything. So the way it happens is we will start to flesh out a song in a basement. Usually we get kind of a crappy sounding demo out of it. Then when we actually decide to sit down and record the song, once we decide what we like, we've gone through some options. We track in a basement, or
we record the guitars just directly into a DI on the computer, and we use amp modeling just to get sound so we can work on a demo for ourselves.
Solo now?
Yeah. And then we both, Common Enemies and These Are Lights, we then sent to Kurt at God City who does the final mixing, and he actually reamps all the guitars there. So all the guitar sounds you hear on those records are recorded into a computer in Detroit and then come out of an amp in Salem, Massachusetts. We're basically trying to make a very minuscule amount of money sound like a slightly less minuscule amount of
trying
money.
to make a very small budget.
We have no budget, literally
big
no
things
money, no budget at all, and we're trying to make it sound like we have some sort of budget.
Yeah.
Okay, so how does Common Enemies differ from These Are Lights, or would you consider it kind of a continuation of the album style?
Well, I mean, it differs in a lot of ways. The general approach to this EP was completely different. Like we mentioned before, These Are Lights, like 80% of the material was not only just done, it was recorded. Like the actual takes that you hear on the album were recorded before we even had a full band together. Common Enemies, obviously, we're all a cohesive unit now. And then we also were trying to, we came up with this idea, like I said, everyone was going to be out of town, so we committed to making this EP. And, we had a really set short time limit to do it in. And we didn't have any of these songs done at all. So we came up with this idea of writing 4 songs, committing to doing it, then writing the music after making that commitment. So it was completely different than These Are Lights, which we had all the material, then decided to make, an album.
We had this period approaching, and Tony called me one day and he said, "Hey, what do you think about trying to use this time to do something?" And we had talked about the prospect of like music video, stuff like that, and we said, "Hey, we've got stuff in the works still. We've got unused material. Let's try to
Focus
maybe
on the music.
let's put out some more music, because we weren't still done putting out music at that time." So I said, "Sounds good to me." Tony got a hold of Kurt right after that.
He had availability in the short
availability.
time period, so we wanted to do it the same way.
Right, and so he gave us basically a window of time that he could work on this stuff, and that's what set our deadline for this. And it was a different way for us to work, because we've always released stuff as we've gotten it finished. This time we had a deadline, and we had a set amount of time, so this had more rules. But it was actually good, because I think it made it more focused. This EP is much more in a certain direction, in a certain vein.
Well, These Are Lights had like no rules. We really worked on pacing that album, making it a good album. But this, we had a specific idea to make, a fast, vicious EP. Make it hard hitting. We really wanted to edit this down a lot compared to These Are Lights. In terms of sonically, I feel this is a lot different too, because it's a lot more stripped down. There's a lot less keyboards and stuff like that on this record.
A lot of the padding and stuff that you hear that you may or may not notice on These Are Lights is there.
These Are Lights has keyboards on almost like every single song, even if you don't notice it.
Right.
This has like nothing. It's all guitar, vocal, bass, drums.
Very stripped
down. Very
down.
Straightforward. We really wanted to make like a good rock and roll, hard hitting EP.
All right. Here's a question. Actually, I've been wanting to ask you guys since I heard it. You guys actually have the ex-Dillinger Escape Plan current Coheed and Cambria drummer Chris Penny playing on Common Enemies. How did this come about?
Well, it was kind of interesting, because we've wanted to do something with Chris for a long time. He's been somebody that's been a huge influence on I know both me and Tony's music. Huge. Definitely. And so we just kind of, we had known him in the past, and we figured we'd just kind of reach out to him for a particular song that we're trying to, the tune that he's on, Secondhand, is it's got like, it was all about kind of getting the right feel. And Chris is a super eclectic, super tasteful drummer. He's been known widely for all of his crazy stuff, but he's also just a really tasteful musician. So we figured, let's give it a shot, see if he's willing to do it. And
we also, we had guests. We had a ton of guests on These Are Lights too, and like Aaron said, we've just been friends with Chris for, few
Few
years
years,
now.
yeah.
So we just wanted to reach out and see if he would want to do it. He's definitely, I mean, as the drummer, he's one of my biggest heroes in terms of playing. So it was a really cool experience.
We're always open to guest appearances. If you listen to the track "I Steal What I Want" on the last album, that's my dad. We had we had a lot of friends on that album.
Mike Sonic and Renee from
Yep.
the band Auto Vector both played on the last album
Yep.
too.
Our friend Carol did the vocal on Elephant. So we've always done collaborations.
We always like collaborations.
Yeah, we like collaborations. So it was cool to do it with somebody like Chris, who's been such an influence. So.
He plays on Secondhand, which is easily the most subdued track of the four. Why choose this song over one of the more busier, intense songs?
I don't even think that ever really entered our minds. We specifically asked Chris to play on that track first because he's an awesome musician.
We had the
I mean,
track.
he's just a really sick drummer, and that the drums on that track, it's a subdued track, but the drums are really something if you listen closely to them. I mean, they're low key for sure, but they're super tasteful and great, I think. And we wanted to ask him to do that, and then in retrospect, I mean, I think what we're saying is it would have been very obvious to ask him to play a song that has a bunch of Dillinger-esque riffs in it, but it was cooler to move in a different direction, take something that maybe he wasn't 100% known for and we weren't 100% known for, and make a cool collaboration between, and make go somewhere else with it.
So what's next? What can we expect? Can we expect a release within the next 8 months? And what do you guys have for 2010 planned?
I mean, that's kind of, in terms of another release, I mean, we're always open to it. We're trying to finish up everything that we're going to package with Common Enemies right now, that you'll be watching this on a DVD, hopefully, and that'll be really, really cool. And then beyond that, I think we're just going to try to keep getting people to hear our music by any means possible. That's the most important thing.
It's just getting it out there right now. We're trying to get it to as many ears as possible. So, I mean,
all our stuff is available free, and we really want people to take advantage of that by going online. Common Enemies, has the limited edition 7-inch that's going with it, but please download it.
Yeah,
online, and please download these Our Lights.
Yeah,
burn it on a CD.
If you want to go above and beyond, buy a stack of CDs for $10 and burn 50.
$5.
Yeah, whatever, $5, and just go out and burn them all, hand them out to people. I mean, we're all about giving this music away. We want to make it to as many ears as possible. So.
Yeah, rather than buy something from us, it would be much cooler if you spent $5 on 50 CDs and gave all of those CDs to your friends or someone who would like it, and people who would listen to us. That's the most important thing is getting people to listen to us and then come to a show and go nuts,
crazy.
Go totally crazy. Because we're going to play really bad and really fast.
Really loud.
And we're going to play real loud, and it's going to be awesome.
And if you want to hear our music the way that it sounds in the way it's intended to sound on a recording, download the album or buy a record, okay? Come to our show if you want to go crazy and hear our music played very loose.
Poorly.
And see us very sweaty. And, So come out and check us out if you're so inclined.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll. McDonald's.
The Arm. Thank you guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.